Allegedly. Apparently, nobody knows, and let's face it, in the crazy world of wrestling, you never say never. I mean, we are coming up to the one-year anniversary of the Survivor Series 2023 when CM Punk popped back up in WWE. If I had told you that in October 2023, everybody would look to me and gone, Simon, you are a bald idiot. It's true, but I still would have been correct. But this does come from today's, which is the 11th of October 2024's Wrestling Observer newsletter, where Dave Meltzer wrote that The Rock currently is not scheduled to be part of WrestleMania 41 because he has informed WWE that his movie schedule is just too packed, I suppose, whatever else he's doing, and he's not going to be able to make it. Now, I have to say this feels a little bit off to me because, one, we just saw the final boss return at Bad Blood, and by this point, he already would have known, although maybe we did pull the trigger here because we're going to pull everything from WrestleMania and do it earlier. And two, I kind of started to think over the last few months. I totally understand why they would do this. The WWE may have started to feed some wrestling journalists or dirt sheets, whatever the hell you want to call them, information to trick the audience. When I say trick, I mean it in the way that you want wrestling to work, people. So if all of a sudden all of us idiots and geeks start thinking, oh my gosh, The Rock's not going to be at WrestleMania, we will start fantasy booking other options, I suppose. And then when all of a sudden The Rock is working WrestleMania, it will feel twice as exciting. So I do understand that, but you do need to balance this as well, because some people will get so disappointed. Maybe, and I'm sure this is just the minority, they will go, well, if The Rock's not going to be involved, I'm not even going to bother keeping up with the storylines, even though, of course, they will come back as soon as he is confirmed. But we will know soon, because I believe The Rock will be a part of the January 6th episode of Raw. That's the first one that's on Netflix. And apparently, WWE is not only going to book it in a big arena, but they're also going to treat it like a pay-per-view, which does make sense, because after Survivor Series in November, we have Saturday night's main event in December, which I also think will be treated like a pay-per-view. But then there's nothing until the Royal Rumble, which is now in February, which is crazy, because usually it's the end of January. So if you do have this big old, oh my gosh, we're on Netflix, well, you may as well go big. I think you do have to lay out your stock there, because if The Rock is going to be involved with WrestleMania, does he get involved with the Royal Rumble? Does he have a match beforehand? Do we try and do the Cody Rhodes match before WrestleMania so we can do Cody versus The Rock? Or are we going to do the brand new rumored triple threat match, which would be The Rock versus Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns? Because, of course, when the final boss did pop up at Bad Blood, he did the 1, 2, 3 with his hands. Now, my stupid opinion of this was that maybe he was telling Roman Reigns Cody Rhodes pinned you for the 1, 2, 3. Other people have said it was a triple threat match. Somebody else said he actually counted to 4, which was counting the number of people that are in the new Bloodline. Now listen, bless you. That is quite the fantasy booking, but I watched The Rock do this. He definitely counts to 3, so you absolutely nuts. I am massively intrigued by this, because let's just go with the report as it is, and let's say right now The Rock isn't figured into WrestleMania. Doesn't mean that couldn't change, by the way. It's wrestling. Things change all the time. But I have been convinced that we were going to learn that The Rock was behind the brand new Bloodline, right? That's how the Tongans got into WWE. That's how Jacob Fatu got into WWE. Because if you have been following the commentary, they've been like, oh, they've never been able to be in the company before because they're just too dangerous. Like, even when WWE went to Canada, WWE made it sure to get it out there to say, oh, we had to pull special strings or whatever to get Jacob Fatu in the country, which I think was true. But I also believe they tied it into the narrative because, of course, The Rock has significant power in the company now because he's half chairman of the board, or whatever his title is. So if you are still going to try and tell that tale, I suppose you don't need The Rock there for a big pay-per-view. You just need him to reveal it, be it on a Raw or wherever you want to do it. You can do it on social media. He loves cutting promos on there all of the time. But I do think this makes it very interesting for what the main event is going to be, because we have talked about it time and time again, like Cyndi Lauper, on this channel, that I totally believe the WrestleMania 41 main event was going to be Cody Rhodes versus The Rock, given everything we did on the Raw after WrestleMania. And this ties in again. Do we find out what The Rock gave Cody Rhodes? Remember the thing in his hand? I mean, that was clearly done because we were going to pay that story off at some point. And I think if The Rock is away and he is going to come back maybe for SummerSlam or, whenever it is post WrestleMania 41, all of a sudden you do have to start asking yourself, well, what else has that changed? Why did we do that back in April? What does that mean going forward? And it really kind of also underlines that you do have to stop booking The Rock into long-term stories. Listen, I understand this. I'm not talking about it from a negative point of view. I'm just talking about it matter-of-factly. One of WWE's greatest attributes right now is they do have big sort of tentpole matches that they have in their brain, and then they book backwards, going, we need to go left, we need to go right, then we need to go up, down, and whoopsie-wee, in order to get to this date where we're going to have the big moment and the big payoff. And if The Rock was the plan for WrestleMania 41, and now he's not the plan, Are we going to do Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns, for example? Which is why all of a sudden they were teaming at Bad Blood, and why at one point it was out there on the internet because I saw it, and even I was like, I don't think that's accurate either. People were saying they were going to do The Rock versus Roman Reigns Part 3 in Saudi Arabia. I thought that would have been a massive waste, but the fact there is conflict there now, and that we have taken Cody Rhodes out of War Games, once again, I did my predictions, I'm always wrong. I thought that he would team up with Roman Reigns there, probably along with the Usos and Sami Zayn, and who knows where else, but the attack by Kevin Owens post Bad Blood means you cannot I suppose you could have them in War Games, but it'd be strange storytelling. Those two at Survivor Series can now spin off and do their own thing, and of course this year's Saudi Arabia show, or the latter show, is a little bit of an outlier. It's kind of just there, getting in the way of things. But Kevin Owens going heel takes Cody Rhodes out of War Games, which we presumed he would be in, and that means you are not seeing Cody and Roman team in what could be one of the big ending matches now for the Bloodline versus the Bloodline 2.0, and maybe we are doing that because they're going to fall out properly, and actually when we get to WrestleMania 41, we are going to do the trilogy, which would also be the rubber match, because of course we had WrestleMania 39 when Roman Reigns won, WrestleMania 40, the year-long build when Cody Rhodes finished his story. So if you did do it 3 years back-to-back, I am not totally against it, because they are the two biggest stars in the company. They're way bigger now than they ever were, and I don't know in which direction that match goes. So if you can build it that way and you can get fans to a fever pitch, I actually think it's going to work. Now, even then, I think The Rock has to have some sort of a say in this, even if it's just some kind of stupid stipulation that he puts out there. Although Cody should ask for a Bloodline rules match. I think Cody's had 2 of them now, and he never loses, or whatever the hell it was. But he absolutely needs to have some kind of effect on it, otherwise it wouldn't make any sense, because he is the third wheel in this relationship. But it does kind of throw everything up in the air, but actually it gives Roman Reigns a position too, because something that other people said, and me included, was we're going to do Roman versus Solo Sikoa or Roman Reigns versus Jacob Fatu at WrestleMania. I think that's a great match, and I think it's something that WWE should do, but I didn't know whether it was Roman Reigns WrestleMania worthy, just because he's main evented 9 WrestleManias or something crazy like that, which is also why when the triple threat match got brought up, I was like, you know what, that does make more sense. I'm not sure it's the best thing to do business-wise, because, The Rock versus Cody and The Rock versus Roman are going to do gangbusters all by themselves. But if all of a sudden you think you are losing The Rock for a while, maybe that's why it cropped up. Maybe that's why he did the 1, 2, 3. So, maybe we can just get it all done and then we'll draw a line under it. So yeah, Roman being in a triple threat like that would make all the sense in the world. But also, Roman Reigns versus Cody also ticks those boxes. And once again, I think Roman, I swear he would go to 10 WrestleManias main eventing. And apart from one, which is against Drew McIntyre, I believe, are they back-to-back? Because the Undertaker match at WrestleMania 33, whenever it was, that was the main event, even though that made no sense, because neither of them were the champion. But if all of this is on the button, I think it's going to be made very painfully aware over the next couple of months, again, especially moving into that Netflix show. And I actually had some chaos booking that The Rock won the Royal Rumble, because I thought, come January and come that show, he was going to be so dialed in, and he was going to be so in the plans, that if you did want to do more with him and tell everyone he's definitely going to WrestleMania to face Cody because he won the damn Royal Rumble, he could. This is why WWE is actually in a great position, because even if you do lose someone like Dwayne Johnson, who is obviously the biggest star they have, because he's a mainstream star, you have all these wrestling stars who also kind of have mainstream appeal, especially with Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, who can take up the slack. And there's probably some fans out there that would be even more excited about doing the trilogy, because again, they're super invested in Roman and they're super invested in Cody. And once again, you have to ask the question, who the hell wins that? Do you really have Roman win the championship back from Cody after all the work we did at WrestleMania 40? Who's the babyface? Who's the heel? What does that do to Cody if he loses? What does it do to Roman Reigns? If Cody wins, is Roman going to go away again after WrestleMania 41? What's the plan for SummerSlam, which is now 2 nights? Does Cody Rhodes lose his belt and then go into the Randy Orton feud? Or is that feud better with the championship? What does Roman Reigns do if he holds on to the championship? Is he going to go away again? Because if he does do that, you may turn the crowd, because last time he was so intermittent, that did piss a lot of people off. And that's just all off the top of my head. Imagine I sat down and wrote a darn essay. If somebody did bust in here right now and put a gun to my head, I still kind of feel like The Rock's going to be at WrestleMania. I mean, we will know, because he will announce films that he's doing. He does have to do the Moana live movie, and he has to do the next Fast and Furious film, which I believe is the last one ever they're doing. So that's going to be quite big. And Disney will not let him wrestle throughout all that, because they have 2 films that are going to make them a lot of money. And if you remember, when we go back to the John Cena match, he got hurt, he pulled his abductor and his abdomen, and they had to delay the shooting of Hercules, and that cost millions and millions of dollars. And I know that he did the UFC movie. I can't remember who it was for now. I'm an idiot. But he did the UFC movie after this one, but it was not as big a film on paper, but also I think his production company were involved. So he was probably like, well, I don't care. I'm going to do it all the same. Whereas I don't think you're going to get away with that with Disney. So I would keep an eye on the likes of TMZ and stupid websites like that. Not TMZ, but other websites that will tell you about entertainment news, Variety maybe, because they will absolutely, lift the lid on this. And then that will tell you what The Rock is going to be doing throughout January through to April. But it does make everything super interesting because I think we'd all agree we knew where our deadline was. We knew where the X marked the spot was, and it was The Rock versus at least someone. Even if they did pivot away from Cody Rhodes, we would do the Roman Reigns match. And we know that The Rock was desperate to do that because we have the YouTube documentary that we can all watch. So very, very strange occurrence. Again, I always read the Wrestling Observer newsletter in case there are things that I want to talk about or there are things that I think are interesting. And this is the biggest one that has come along for a way because I thought the WrestleMania 41 card was sewn up. And again, maybe it was. Maybe this is the last minute thing. And maybe that's another reason you can spin what we said earlier on its head too. Maybe WWE want to get it out now. So in case all of a sudden you do see some weird booking, they can go, well, it's not our fault. We're pivoting once again. Much like we had to do in February, March, and now we got to do it again just because The Rock is so busy. But there is a better way to do this, and that is for you to get in the comments below and let me know. Do you want The Rock at WrestleMania, or do you not want The Rock at WrestleMania, especially if the alternative is doing the ending of the trilogy, and you wouldn't be able to do it again. I think 3 matches is enough. Between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, if that is the case, who wins? Is it American Nightmare, or is it Tribal Chief? And also, it kind of does tie into what the hell we're going to do at Survivor Series, because you need to get all those matches wrapped up. You need to see Solo versus Roman one-on-one. You need to see Jacob Fatu and Roman one-on-one. Do we actually carry that all the way through to WrestleMania 2? Because they would have to be interactive with Roman and Cody. And who the hell do they attack? You'd have to assume they'd attack both of them. But then Roman and Cody are in a very strange occurrence. Maybe we get to WrestleMania 41 and nobody wins because the Bloodline all come out in hoodies, as you do when you do a sneak attack, and they beat everybody up, and the ref is like, nothing else I can do. So that's my new fantasy booking for WrestleMania 41. So we'll know more soon. All the relevant people will be asking questions, and they always get out there. But it has made me pretty intrigued. I think it's made me excited again, too, because I like all this stuff. Bring me the chaos. I've talked about it time and time again. But now we sit down and we wait. And as always, just take everything you read with a pinch of salt, be it in wrestling or any kind of media. It will make your life a lot easier, and you don't need to get mad at it. Now, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the video on the screen, which is me talking about wrestling. That's the biggest thing you can do, and turn on all your notifications, including on the mobile app. I would appreciate that. Otherwise, it is grillermind.com/Simon. Use code Simon to get 10% off, and these are the fitness supplements I use, so please do try them out to see if they can help with your fitness journey too. Patreon.com/Simon316. If you want to train at home with Anthony Agogo, it's Agogo Fitness. Use code Simon20. Simon316 on Instagram and Twitter, on all social media. Simon J. Miller on TikTok. Simon Miller on Cameo for personalized video messages. Did a very funny one today, so thank you for that. And ProWrestlingTees.com/Simon Miller for dumb wrestling merchandise. Buy a t-shirt because it makes me smile when I see them in the wild. Otherwise, it is Friday night, so enjoy SmackDown, enjoy the AEW pay-per-view if that is your bag, and I will talk to you again next week.